All right, I wanted to take a quick minute to touch on life paths and what that really means, right? But to translate it to my own system, individual numeric frequencies. So, for example, if your life path is 4, like mine, or you have a prominent 14 frequency, right, in your timeline, in your sequence, that is life. So, this is an important concept. And this can make a lot of uncomfortable situations easier to understand. So me, for example, my purpose surrounds the expansion and elevation of my own awareness. Now, because of this tends to also be how I impact those around me. And if you know anything about expansion, it can be incredibly uncomfortable, especially if it contradicts current belief systems, right? Or your current worldview. This can cause discomfort for me at times. Because even if I know all I'm doing is trying to expand awareness and help people elevate and help people ascend, 5 energy is very real. The ego is very real, right? The human's tendency to not want to accept new information, so cognitive dissonance is also very real. So this can make it very hard for life path 4s or for people with prominent 14 frequency. I've done a video on this before, specifically when you're talking about people in 13 frequency. You'll be demonized, or you'll just be looked at as crazy a lot of the times, right? Because they are not yet in a place energetically where they can accept certain information objectively, right? It will be taken personally. Let's use another example. Let's say your life path 5, right? And let me backtrack, actually. This also is going to contribute to the kind of people you are going to tend to attract, right? Or the kind of energy you're going to tend to attract from others. When I talked about Life Path 7 in one of my videos, my Life Path 7 video to be exact, I talk about this, and I talk about the tendency that you hold to attract such opposition and darkness and negativity from others. And that is because that is the number 7, right? So there are multiple layers to this concept. This is frequency. It is pervasive. It is everything. And it is a huge tool that can be used to better explain your circumstances. So let me jump back forward. We have 5, let's say, for example. Let's say your life path is 5. You are going to have a tendency to not only grant this to others, this energy of issues, essentially. So typically 15 people, 5 people are always going through something, whether it's internal or external, right? Because this is the number of internal and external discomfort, as well as restriction of thought and circumstance. This is someone that's always going to be having problems, probably a lot of car trouble, a lot of health problems, a lot of trauma in their life, a lot of loss, whether it's people, places, or things, right? This is a very tumultuous experience. This is a very tumultuous number. So because of that, it is chaos, right? So a lot of times people don't really like to be around these kind of people unless they themselves have similar frequency or similar circumstances, or there could be other factors involved, like someone that likes to nurture and take care of others. And this has to be someone that can do that without judgment and can do that without really expecting someone to actually do something to resolve their own problems. You can't be someone like me that expects people to change the things they're complaining about. Like, because a 5 or a 15 typically likes you to just listen to them, you know, and allow them to exist there, right? Because that is their frequency. Another example is going to be, let's use 3. These are going to be just the standard manifestors. And I use the word standard not to be condescending, but it's just it's the standard place. It's the foundational number of this reality, right? Manifestation. Physically oriented people, places, and things, right? These are people that are impressed by things other people have been able to manifest and things like that. Money motivated. So typically when you are talking about people that are just super lighthearted and don't take things seriously and might tell you things like, it's not that serious or it's not that deep, that's typically going to be either a 13 frequency or a 3 frequency person, or an imbalanced 14, meaning when you first elevate into that space of 14 from 13, right, you are expanding, you have that capacity, right? But until you actually look inward and turn it inward, right? Because when you first elevate into 14 frequency, it is very external. It is very focused on a lot of conspiracy theories, which are external concepts, and things like that, right? So until you actually reach that space within that space to where you are going to begin looking inward and wanting to heal yourself, right? Because you will reach a place of discomfort through that ascension process, you will likely also hold a lot of similar beliefs to those in 13 frequency, right? So yeah, I just wanted to point these kinds of things out because, you know, numbers are powerful, you guys. And if you truly understand the resonance of each number and understand how, if you can envision yourself, so visualize this, right? If I'm a life path 4, you can envision me as a walking number 4. And the power that numbers hold exudes in all directions, including in the direction of myself. Okay. So if you can understand that, when you understand, let's say you are a 4 and you're interacting with a 5, boy, because you're talking about the number of awareness and also the number of ego, right? You're talking about the number of mental expansion versus the number of mental restriction. So because of that, I'm making this video for this entire point right here. So because of that, as a 4, I'm not going to be offended when the 5 doesn't want to listen to me. I'm not going to be offended when, even worse, the 5 lashes out, right, irrationally, right? Because if you're talking about an unhoned 5, right, inner work resolves a lot of this no matter what frequency you are. But it still, right, it is the nature. It is the nature of said being compared to the nature of me, right? So when I can fully understand the frequency of this person, and I fully understand the frequency that I hold, I can walk with greater compassion. I can walk with greater understanding. It's not going to change me or stop me from being a 4. It's not going to stop me from speaking about things that may make this 5 uncomfortable, because it's the nature of me. So my loves, by knowing thyself, by knowing your frequency, by understanding the frequencies of others, by understanding the numbers of this reality, you can understand a lot, right? Everything holds frequency. And a lot of the things that cause separation, a lot of the belief systems that cause separation, a lot of the religious systems that cause separation, and I focus primarily on systems, a lot of the inner work systems, because systems are what are needed, or what are created to help us program our minds, especially if our minds have been wounded, especially if our minds need expansion or restructuring. Systems hold great value, okay? So when you can understand that, you can stop judging things in a way that are just emotionally based, and you can start judging things in a way that is frequency based. You can recognize the frequency of each system and what the intentions were. Have a great day.